Welcome to history's shittiest debates and podcast. The shittiest place to ever listen to a debate or a podcast. And today, well, I thought we would be talking about veganism, but instead we ended up talking about if it's worth being emotionally connected to the world around you if you're disconnected, and what can happen to you if you emotionally reconnect in the wrong way, if you've been emotionally disconnected for so long. If you come into my Discord, please do not give ad hom attacks or just say mean shit to this person. Understand there will be disturbed people in this world. The best thing you can do with them is try to change their mind. Calling them names and being, disgusted is not going to change anything. So anyways, with that being said, let's start the show. Yeah, we're opposite ends of possibly a psychotic spectrum. Yeah, once again, I don't want to Anyways, damn. So, Drunken Scout, my actual YouTube name is...
Scout.
Pardon me?
Just call me Scout.
Scout. Okay, so it's pretty late at night. I might be a little bit... One second. Actually, I think I'm going to bring this over here. So it's kind of late at night. I might be a little bit kind of dizzy, a little bit tired, a little bit sleepy. So if it takes me a little bit of time to respond, please give me a moment. So my actual YouTube channel name is History Shittiest Disciple. You can just call me HSD for short. So I'm a vegan. I'm into philosophy. I'm into a bunch of different subjects. I'm a vegan advocate. And Nick seemed kind of interested in your philosophy. So if you could maybe just give me a little bit more of an intro of who you are, and then we can have a little bit of conversation, and then we can kind of just go from there.
Yeah, sure. My name is Scout. I am the opposite of a vegan. Not saying I'm a carnivore, but I eat anything and everything. And my philosophy is that I want to have the least amount of impact on people possible. You would call it not good karma, not bad karma, but neutral karma. And that's what I'm going for.
Okay. That's kind of an interesting perspective. What led you down that road by any chance?
So what led me down that road? In my past, I'm not going to go into unnecessary detail, but in my past, I have been hurt by people and I have hurt people, and it didn't end up well for me. And I decided that I didn't want to have a lasting impression on people. And I don't necessarily want to have a bad impression on people, and I don't want to have a good impression on people. I just want to leave the impression I leave behind as forgettable as possible. So if I have a good life and people remember me fondly and I'm gone, people are going to mourn me. If I live a bad life, bad karma, people are going to cherish the thought that I'm gone. However, if I just simply vanish, I'm not memorable, I'm going to fade out of their memories, people are not going to mourn me, and I'm not going to disrupt their life. And people can just move on with whatever they were doing.
Give me 1 sec, actually. I'm just going to put an announcement debate. I don't think anyone's actually going to come in here because it's late. Debate ping. Yeah. Having a talk in... 1 sec, sorry. So that is kind of an interesting perspective. Not that many people kind of take that neutral karma stance. Most people are interested in having good karma. So I'm actually curious, why do you not want to have good karma? Why not strive to have good karma rather than bad karma?
Well, the reason for that is I do not have a moral compass of my own. I have no clue whether things are good or bad. I just don't have that feeling. Therefore, what I do is I follow what is generally taken by society as normality. Therefore, eating at a McDonald's is normal. Eating another person is not normal. Therefore, I do eat at the McDonald's, I don't eat another person. That said, I don't have objection to either.
So you don't have an objection to eating a human being?
No, I do not.
Oh, damn. Wow.
If society deemed it as normality, I would not have objection.
Okay. It's very interesting. Okay, so when it comes down to this, you know what? If you want to, maybe I could. I don't know, because Nick wants to see this. If you want to, maybe I should stop recording, because you said you didn't want to influence people. Because like, if I upload this is technically influencing people. Are you sure you don't mind these ideas being out there? Because it's not.
I don't mind these ideas being out there. No.
Okay. I just want to reconfirm, because like, first off, if you didn't think about that, I want to be respectful to your wishes.
No, I am fully aware of
I would
the
have
implications.
I would have assumed, but it puts my mind to ease that you are aware. Okay, so that's cool.
No, feel free to record.
Yeah, I am. So right. I mean, like, damn. So it sounds a lot like to me, because you are morally new. It sounds like more like to me you're trying to keep yourself in check.
Yeah, I think that would be a proper way of putting it.
Oh shit, I almost knocked down my headphones. Could you please repeat that? I am so sorry.
No worries. No, it does. That does sound correct, yes. As I said, I don't have a moral compass. I can't distinguish between good, evil, neutral myself, and therefore use society as guidance. Mm-hmm. Therefore, if I were to shape society by my own hand, it would have been complete anarchy, because I don't know what is good and what is not good. You could call it criminally insane. Or psychotic.
Well, I mean, like, I'm not a psychologist, number one, and there's a number of different routes you can go down. First off, do you enjoy seeing people suffer, or do you just feel indifferent?
Indifferent.
Okay, that would be more down the road of being a sociopath, if anything. Like, actually, no, I'm not too sure. I believe psychopaths would be more likely to enjoy it. No, actually, I don't know. You would have to be diagnosed. Do you think it's genetic? Mm-hmm. Do you think it's genetic by any chance, or?
No, absolutely not.
Probably sociopathy. It's probably environmental, right?
That is most likely, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
If anything, I'd say if I saw someone suffer, I find it more interesting than anything.
One sec.
No worries.
Yeah, I'm actually just telling other people in other servers there's debate going on. Anyways, yeah, I'm still listening to you. So anyways, going forward, like, have you ever heard of Castlevania, the anime series? Because I think it'd be better. Yeah. I think can we agree, like, rather than having official proposition, we can just kind of have a free flowing conversation. I kind of feel like that's where this conversation is going. Do you want to have a proposition and go from there? Or?
Yeah, sure.
Like, is that what you wanted? I personally would rather just have a free flowing talk. What do you want? I'm
indifferent.
Okay, yeah.
I really don't care.
I think you seem more interesting just to have a talk with, free flowing talk. So, in particularly, when it comes to Castlevania, the anime series, one of the creators of it said is, he thinks that the best villains are people who think that they're the hero. So Magneto thought that he's the hero, or, Magneto's based off Malcolm X, where, influenced off of him. And Professor Xavier was inspired off of Martin Luther King. And, Magneto thought that he was kind of the hero of the story. Like, in this one comic of the X-Men, Magneto was, he easily played the hero role, and Nightcrawler and Wolverine just kind of had an issue understanding what he was doing. But they kind of understood that he was the hero of his people. That's how he saw himself. And since you don't really have that moral intuition, moral compass, you do not know whether you are capable of making moral claims or moral judgments. Am I correct? And
correct.
You're trying to keep yourself in check. Okay, so when I first heard you, I won't lie. When I first heard a little bit about your philosophy, I had a different assumption of you. And perhaps maybe my assumption of you is correct. But particularly, I do have to ask you, because you said you've actually hurt people in your past. Is your philosophy based in fear? I'm just curious.
I wouldn't know. I honestly couldn't tell you what fear is to me if you'd shown me. I have no recollection of fear. I don't know fear.
I mean, in particularly, have you actually ever studied or listened to different people's meta-ethics or normative ethics or applied ethics? Which I'm still learning and I'm no expert in by any means.
No, I have not.
So there's lots of different frameworks you can go down. So I think I'm going to type this out, but this is my personal belief of morality, of what it is. So first off, what we know about morality is that people have a sense of it. So basically, morality exists. So just give me a chance to type that out.
Existence.
So that's the first thing I'd say. Now the second thing I would say is like nature, nurture. Third thing is environment. God damn, how the hell am I messing this up? I'm pretty tired. It's like, I'm not even going to try. It's pretty late. Environment and evolution. So, these are the things that are generally coming into contradiction when it comes to morality. It's like your nurture, your nature, environment, evolution. This is just kind of like how I break down morality. And I think this is going to be important because this will help us better. Actually, you know what? Rather than putting this in chill, I'm going to put this in the debate text. You don't mind me taking the time to spell this out, do you?
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Since we're doing this, we may as well kind of derail and talk about something to, just give people something to listen to. So, where do you come from anyways, my man?
I come from the Netherlands. I've been living here for all my life, been moving around within the country for a long time. And, yeah.
I heard Netherlands has very strong freedom of speech laws.
Yeah, we do. You can tell a cop he's call it whatever you fancy, and there's nothing he's going to do about it. However, if you call a black person a nigger, oh my god, you got all those sirens ringing.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
is it illegal to do so?
It's not legal, it's frowned upon. It's
okay.
Racism, for some reason, is a very hot topic, and I have no clue why. Discrimination, racism, those topics are just, for some reason, very touchy-feely, and people tend to steer clear of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for anyone watching this little conversation, I know I'm very illiterate, very low IQ.
Pleasure.
Very low IQ. Yeah, history's lowest. Yeah, history's lowest IQ. Not much I can do about that. But honestly, a part of it isn't just that. A part of it is like this time of night, everything's going out the window. So first off, people have a sense of it. It exists to people. So whether it's subjective or objective, that's just saying it exists. People have a sense of it. Nature versus nurture. Environment versus evolution, individualism versus collectivism, pain versus pleasure. Like, these are facts that are calculated into morality. Okay, so Um, so I think we can all agree upon that. So there's different frameworks you can kind of go down. But the thing is, I think ultimately what it comes down to is you're missing a very important aspect of it. And I think you're aware of that. And it's empathy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually curious, like, were you born this way or?
No, I have gone through certain things in my past which have numbed that feeling to the point of close to non-existence.
Okay.
So I'm just missing it, and whenever something happens, I'm more likely to find it interesting than actually feel sorry or happy or whatnot.
So yeah, during that whole little typing it out point, I might just cut that out so it's like from, that way people don't have to wait to see that. That was, cause I think that was a little annoying. It's like my like I said, this time of night, I'm not gonna be spelling right at like 2 a.m. in the morning. And also in general, I'm a terrible speller. But anyways, so right. I might have asked like what happened to you in particularly, if you don't mind. You don't have to tell me the exact details or.
No, I would prefer to refrain from discussing that for legal reasons.
May I discuss mine?
Say what now?
May I discuss mine? Sort of some things I've had.
Sure. Go ahead.
Sexually assaulted repeatedly as a child for over 10 years, and it was somebody's joke. I was never raped. Just I like to call it touching childhood. It's very touching. It's a joke, but in particularly, also just in general, the metropolitan world is very, especially for young men, it's very tough and confusing. Especially with the modern world and with automation. There's getting a crap job, you have to sometimes fight tooth and nail for it. So I mean, like, how do I say this? The real world for me has been incredibly cold. Incredibly harsh, cold, and competitive. And it often feels as if you don't have cash, you may as well just fucking kill yourself, especially in like a expensive city. But in particular, what I'm trying to say here is my empathy levels is not super high. I was picked on and bullied a lot. My mom beat the crap out of me growing up, and she beat me up if I disagreed with her. So she beat her opinions into me. So her religion was her sort of her feminist philosophy. It wasn't God. It was her it was narcissism. And it was unfortunate to be around that. Now I'm not saying all feminists like that, hashtag not all, right? But particularly for me, my empathy was sort of dimmed down. So I think a solution for you, like, I could technically come in here and say, well, you're scared for not wanting to have a moral compass or take a moral stance. But I think it's different than that. It's a matter of you're aware that an important part of having a calculus in your moral decision isn't just logic, it's emotion. And since you're missing that, you are aware that you could easily become a villain, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so I think one of the solutions to this is to perhaps maybe try and, I don't know, help you reconnect with your emotions in some shape or form, in some shape or way, if that's possible.
Yeah, I don't want to be connected with my emotions. I am happy to be disconnected from those as is, because as long as I'm disconnected from emotions, it means that people can't get to me. There's let's say there's a emotional border in my personality, and I don't let people cross that. So on the surface and on the inside, I'm a very dull person. However, if someone were to, well, let's quote, break down that wall, I would suddenly crumble myself. My philosophy would crumble. Everything I stand for would crumble.
Then have you ever considered what you stand for? Perhaps it might not be sustainable?
Yes, I have. Though the one thing that hinges on is me not letting people break down that wall. And by being cold and calculating, people don't have a chance to break down that wall.
Interesting. I mean, yeah. So, okay, now I do have to say this. It does sound a lot like to me your philosophy is actually based. It does sound like you're scared of people getting close to you. That is how it sounds to me. Although it could be more complex. It could be more complex than that. I'll be straight up with you. Like I think a lot of people are scared of getting close to other people. It's a scary experience, right? And I'm not gonna sit here and act like, oh, I ain't afraid of love. Are you fucking kidding me? Bitches be crazy, man. But in general, hell, like, goddamn, men nowadays they act like bitches too. So you gotta check them like a bitch all the time. Goddamn. Yeah, I ain't PC worth shit, my nigga. Oh yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you. Okay. Oh god, yeah, it's YouTube. I gotta watch out for that word. God damn, I'm gonna have to edit that out. Edit that one. Yeah, I'm gonna have to edit that out. So getting back to what I was talking about. Yeah, it's the thought police coming in. So in particularly, I mean, like, how can I say this? So why do you believe that you don't want people to get close? Like, could you actually help better explain this philosophy? Because this philosophy just sounds like something new it sounds like something out of a book that I'm reading. Almost doesn't even sound real.
The reason I don't want people to get close to me is fairly simple. I want my decisions to be called calculating. I want my decisions to be rational instead of emotional. If people get close to me in any capacity, their presence on me and my influence on them is going to drastically alter my decision making. And I don't want my decision to be influenced by emotions, because 9 times out of 10, a mistake is made based on emotions. And by eliminating the emotions from the equation, all that's left is the cold calculating rational decision making, which 9 times out of 10 doesn't make the same mistakes.
I'd argue that's kind of fallacious. Like I could argue that's particularly when it comes to emotions. I mean, like, emotions can help us make decisions that we perhaps later in the future would not have regretted, just as much as they can actually help us make decisions that we would regret. So, and also when you say 9 times out of 10, that's kind of subjective to the individual. So to me, how do I say this? Trying to remove logic, almost doing the inverse of an appeal to emotion. So like appealing purely to your ration and reason to the point where you're removing emotion itself. In and of itself, I'd say to claim it's going to help you make more logical conclusions is going to be fallacious, because it's like logical to what in a very nihilistic universe. Like an easy way to, or an even better way to say it is, we are emotional creatures no matter what we say or do. We all have intuitions, and even the least emotional of us, we have a concept of pleasure. So I mean, like, don't get me wrong, you don't want to just purely appeal to emotion, but saying 9 times out of 10, I have to say that's kind of I don't know. I think that's kind of, honestly, to me, that does kind of sound a little bit fallacious.
Not fair enough.
Appeal to, it's kind of like appeal to probability, but and particularly a better way to say it is like there's a number of you. If I can actually change your opinion on emotions, do you think maybe I might be able to change your philosophy? Would you be willing to hear that out?
If you can change my opinion on emotion, then that would take out the key parts of my philosophy. So yes, you would be able to change my philosophy. Though, mind you wouldn't be the first to try. My psychiatrist has tried over the course of maybe 5 years and still hasn't gotten through to me.
I have my creative ways, and maybe I won't, maybe I will. But whether I do or don't, that's not what's important. To me, what's important is that I try.
Yeah. So the thing is, I'm not stubborn. I'm open to change. And
yeah, you just need.
I've simply found for myself that what I'm doing right now is, to me, the most fitting solution. because this solution prevents me from hurting others and getting hurt by others.
I don't think it does.
I'm mostly talking about physical encounters, not mental. Because my mental encounters are blocked off.
No, I mean, okay, so particularly with like the animal agriculture industry, the effects it has on slaughterhouse workers, just pertaining to veganism, just getting to around veganism. I mean, like I could talk about doubling penetration-induced stress trauma or PTSD, and I could talk about the stress and desensitization they go under. But particularly, I mean, like, even if you're not very emotional, you could just as easily cause a lot of harm, if not more harm. So, I mean, I've
worked in a slaughterhouse myself, and it doesn't bother me none. I just find it interesting.
I mean, yeah, sure, yeah. I'm not even saying I'll bother everybody, but it's not just slaughterhouse workers. If you look at veterinarians, 11% of them actually have symptoms of traumatic stress. So it's not just veterinarians. It's not just soldiers that go to war, kill people. It's not just people, it's not just humans that kill animals. And then also, if the U.S. Defense Department actually recognizes animal violence as a gateway to crime, particularly when it comes to small animals and pets that are obviously not in the animal agriculture industry. So whenever you look at people harming animals, you see increase of these behaviors. So I'm just saying, even if you are acting in what you perceive to be purely rational, I mean, rationality in and of itself can actually be sort of an oxymoron or a paradox. So there's sort of an intelligence paradox in these situations, and there's sort of an emotional paradox. For example, if I do the emotional decision, it can also be an absurdity, and it can actually lead to me doing something that in the long run I'll regret. For example, if I do a decision, so let's say my decision is to break up with my girlfriend because I'm angry. In the long run, I could be upset because that was not something that was worth doing, and this happens all the time. For another example is like when it comes to purchasing meat. Sure, you might not think you're causing harm, but I'd say you're causing a lot more harm to people by doing that. And I have all the studies. In fact, I could just invite you to my archive on it. In fact, it's
the reason why I take and I've discussed this in length with Nick the other day. Mm-hmm. The reason I don't make a choice between doing one of those is simply because I'm going for how would you call that? Non-intervention.
Okay, but there's an issue here. So I just want to say, so non-intervention. But first you said the reason why you want to be rational is to not harm others and to have others not harm you. And then I brought up how that can harm others. Now you give me a second thing, which is you don't want to intervene, right?
Yes. I don't want to intervene.
Yeah, but any existence you have intervenes in something. If you go and buy burgers, you're intervening in that. If you're going out buying vegetables instead, you're intervening in that. So,
yes, and because of that, I am aware of that contradiction. I had to choose a baseline to go off of. So my baseline that I chose is what is normality to general humanity. So general humanity would consider eating a hamburger normal, and the majority of people eat meat. Therefore, I eat meat. Yeah, but the majority of humanity considers cannibalism a crime. Therefore, if someone asked me, I'd say, yes, cannibalism is a crime.
So
me morally, I don't have a problem with cannibalism.
Obviously, you probably all know that's all. A lot of that's pure popularity. But the thing is, I think in your situation, you do that because you lack that emotional intuition. So it makes it definitely different, but nonetheless logically the same. Just because something is popular, you probably heard this before, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good reason to do so. But this is my problem. I think your philosophy in and of itself is, no matter how you twist and turn it, it sounds self-defeating and self-refuting because no matter what you do, you're going to be harming people and interfering. And even if you choose what is normal, then it in and of itself that completely it completely contradicts not harming people. So you can say, well, I do this because it's normal, but to me, your belief system it sounds like a knot that's tied together by your lack of emotional. It sounds like a knot that's tied together by your lack of emotional intuition.
That could very well be.
Like to me, it like okay, because the first premise is you don't want to harm anyone. You don't want anyone to harm you. The next thing is you didn't want necessarily to what was it? You didn't want to you want to do what you don't want to intervene. And then the third thing is you want to do what is normal. So I think you want to do. So I think going backwards, you want to do what is normal, and within what is doing normal, you don't want to hurt anybody. Because I'm going to try and steelman you. You don't want to hurt anybody, and you only want to hurt you. And while doing what is normal, you don't. You don't. Okay, so you're doing what is normal. You don't want to hurt anyone. Hurt you. You don't want to hurt anybody. And also, while doing what is normal, you do not wish to. It's late. My brain's not running on.
I wish not to pull attention to myself out of the ordinary.
Is that what you said before? I'm not sure because. You don't want to necessarily get close to somebody. So let's write this down. So, okay, so I'm just gonna normal. So I'm just gonna do this as like dots. Normal. Not hurt anyone. No one hurt you. And then next thing will be was it you don't let's review. So you want to do it as normal. You don't want to hurt anyone. And you don't want anyone to hurt you. But what else is there? There was something else. I can't remember. What was it? What was the third thing? You said. What was it? Say that again. So you want to do it as normal. You don't want to hurt anyone. And you don't want anyone to hurt you. And you don't want to emotionally. Was it you don't want to get close to anybody? Was it or?
I don't want to run the risk of people reaching me emotionally.
You don't. God, I think I'm too tired for this. I'm gonna try it anyway. So no. So is there anything else in that? You don't want people reaching emotionally. Oh yeah, you actually no, that's not it. This is okay. So this is why you don't want people to reach you emotionally. The other thing was you wanted to make logical decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's logical. Okay, so you don't want people reaching emotionally. You want to do it as normal. Not hurt anyone. No one hurt you. Logic. So you want to be So once again, like I said, emotions in and of itself can be an oxymoron, and logic in and of itself can be an oxymoron. I was actually wondering, do you like hypotheticals? Do you mind if I run you through a hypothetical? If that's all right.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna call this the apathy pill. So you already somewhat have it. You take it. You're not very emotional, not very empathetic, not very compassionate, and this could be whatever point in your life, right? So if there's somebody. Okay, so if there's somebody, let's say, this just gives me an idea of what you would do in certain situations. So if there's somebody, let's say, a guy at work or whatever, or a neighbor, and you wanted to kill him, would you do it? Well, maybe not one. You desired to kill him. Would you do it if
Depends on the repercussions. If he deserves it and there is no way that it can be traced back to me, it would be illogical not to. Though if it were traced back to me, which it can be 9 times out of 10, it will pull negative attention to me, in which case I wouldn't.
Okay, so if you knew you can get away with it 99% of the time, you would do it.
No, if I know I get away with it 100%.
Well, no one knows for 100%.
That's why I won't do it.
Okay. So yeah, you would need a magical wand for you to do it. Okay. You probably wouldn't. Okay, so I think I could run you through the second one, but you wouldn't. Once again, I'm actually curious. So if you could harm somebody, but you would lose the respect, so not kill somebody, but you could harm someone you really don't like, or you could get back at them, but you would lose the respect of somebody who you respect, would you do it?
I don't respect anyone, so...
You don't respect anybody, huh?
No. No one has value to me. And therefore, because no one has value to me, I don't necessarily hate anyone enough to wish to harm them.
Do you actually have value for yourself, man, if I ask?
No, I do not. I value everything the same. I have the same value as the pebble outside, same as the cow, same as ye old Donald Trump, retard. We all have the same value. And that value is nil. Because in the end of the day, we're all infinitesimally small beings in the vastness of the universe. And nothing anyone does ever matters.
I mean, I think that's kind of derailing from the apathy pill really quick here. But when it comes to if things matter or not, I think that's kind of subjective. Like, to the universe, nothing matters. But things matter to you as an individual. And anything you want can matter to you. So, I mean, like, even if to the universe it doesn't mean anything, that doesn't mean to you yourself how you feel. So it's not important.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think a lot of people get into the whole nothing matters, I think a lot of people get into a nihilistic perspective and they end up undermining their own intuition to some extent, or the values of it, or the utility of it. But moving forward. So, third question for the apathy pill. If you had an electrical business and if you recently got the monopoly and nobody can compete with you, and it's a commercial business, so you have a monopoly in your city or town, and this city or town, your marketing and your logistics team, your marketing, your business team, they present you a paper. This paper says you could essentially cut wages, increase hours, and you still make profit. They're telling you this from a marketing and a business standpoint. These people are used to running restaurants and retail stores. Would you underpay and overwork your employees to make more profit? Okay, so one of the issues of that, now I worded everything very carefully. One of the issues of that is, in particular, when it comes to construction, not just electrical, construction in general. I've actually witnessed this firsthand. When people are underpaid and overworked in companies that use an underbidding strategy, generally these employees fuck up a lot more than you might think. And these buildings can either come crumbling under an earthquake, or they could just go up in flames, potentially. And, I get to see it. I've gotten to see it personally. And I've gotten to see people fired for it. And when they fuck up, they generally don't redo the building. They generally just continue with it. Because it's all about that, the bling bling, the Benjamin. The money. It's all about the bag. So what I'm trying to say is you'd have a bit of a liability in this situation. And this is where I said they told you this from a marketing and a business team standpoint that's used to running retail stores and restaurants. They're not used to running a fucking construction business. Would you still make that decision knowing what you know now, that there is somewhat of a risk that they could fuck up and kill people and you could lose your business?
Yes.
Why would you still do that?
Because the risk of failure is minimal compared to the risk of improved revenue. I
mean, okay, let me take this a step further. Electricians, even if you have a monopoly in a city, they can move to another city. They can move to another town if they feel like they're getting chipped off. Like that's also another X factor you have to keep in mind. Like, this is why I said these are people that are used to running restaurants and retail stores. And, people that generally work in retail, they don't have as much experience. So they're generally easier to replace. So even if you didn't have that risk, if people still quit your business, if people were still trying to leave, you'd still have that could still create a bit of a financial issue. I mean, I've worked for businesses where one of their biggest financial issues was that people were quitting and the cost of retraining workers. So, I mean,
Yeah, fair enough.
You might think it's minimal, but if a building goes up in flames once, you can lose your business license. Like, I don't know about where you live, but like where I live, if you lose, if you have one building go up in flames, nobody's going to fucking hire you again.
Well, that's the thing, is if I were the business owner in this case, I would go for the improved revenue for underpaid and overworked. And if a building does go up in flames, I would have the person working on the building sacked and just rehire someone else.
No,
and
that's
therefore
not gonna...
shifting the blame to said person.
Believe me when I say this, I've worked in construction. It as much as you might think it might work that way, and sometimes like maybe you'll be able to get away with it. Realistically, it doesn't. No, at least not always. Sometimes it can, but like just speaking pragmatically here, it doesn't always work that way. One, you can get sued. Two, you can, for example, if you own a commercial business, generally, like, this is how it works. Generally, you'll have a company that will hire other contractors. So I'm not sure how it works up in the Netherlands. So, are you a tradesman by, construction worker?
I'm a chemist myself.
Okay, you're a chemist. Okay. So if you work in an electrical field, electricians, whatnot, you'll have like your business that's responsible for overseeing the building being made. And this business will then hire other contractors. They'll hire carpenters, they will hire the electrical team, they'll hire the plumbing team. And basically, if your building goes up in flames, nobody's going to hire your business anymore. Like, you could run out of customers. I'm telling you that this is from a logical standpoint. I don't see a logic, like, undercutting electricians and overworking them. I don't see that as logical. Like, I see that logical for laborers, maybe. Even then they can still quit. Like, even if you don't run that risk, there's always the possibility of like increased turnover. Like, does this make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Like,
Simple fact is I'm not familiar enough with the business in order to make rational decisions based on that.
Yeah. And like, this isn't supposed to be some sort of gotcha. This is like, haha, like...
Yeah. No.
Like, I'm just running you through these type of things. So, next thing is like, number 4. So let's say if you were in a post-apocalyptic world, like COVID-19, and if you had the option of buying all the hand sanitizer in a city or store and then reselling it at a higher price, would you do that?
No.
Why?
Because it requires a tremendous amount of effort. No one's going to buy it off of me because there's ways of making it yourself. And if I were to be able to acquire all of it, I'd use it for myself.
Damn, that's pretty cool. Even if you used it all for yourself, it's not going to be very useful if the disease is spreading in your city or town. And on top of that, if your goal wasn't to do harm to other people, you're technically doing harm. Like, that's a lot of harm to other people. And it also could harm you as well. Because
technically, me preventing myself from getting sick is a simple form of self-preservation, which, however, well, let's say sociopathic I may be, I still have a sense of self-preservation.
Yeah, like you could... you could buy, like... Oh, sorry. There you go.
Yeah. But by not selling it on to other people, by not extorting them and enabling them to make their own versions, say, vodka is still a sanitizer, whiskey is still a sanitizer, you can easily ferment grapes and make alcohol-based products for sanitizing purposes.
I guess maybe that wasn't the...
Yeah.
I guess maybe that wasn't the best hypothetical, but I don't think most people are going to carry a vodka bottle and throw it over the hands in the sidewalk. But I guess that is plan B, right? So moving forward, right? Next one. Let's just hypothetically say you're in the middle of nowhere, and like you're basically in a survival scenario where you're with a group of people. You're trying to make it back to modern civilization. You're with a group of people. You've been with them about a week. They're okay people. Let's just say there's a group. There's a bunch of wild wolves attack your group of people. You have a weapon, and you personally perceive there's a 50% chance you would be able to survive. Would you try to save that group of people?
Sorry, can you repeat that last part?
So you're with a group of people trying to make it back to civilization. You have a fucking weapon. You think there's a 50% chance you could fight off some wolves that are attacking your group. They're decent people. You think they're okay. Maybe not the best people, but you think that they're okay people. They've been good to you. Would you fight with them or would you run away? Like, what would you do?
I would do neither. I would watch idly. I would not intervene. I would see what happens because I find it fascinating how wolves feed in that case. And I would use the weapon for self-preservation in case the wolves came after me.
That's a pretty at the end of it all, if you weren't fighting and if everyone else was, they're probably going to take out their frustrations on you. Like, that's a pretty bad scenario to be in. That's kind of like Survivor, where you're about to get voted off the island. Like, that's probably the worst scenario you could be in. Are you sure you'd want to do, you'd want to do that?
Yes, I stand by what I said.
Okay, so to me, it doesn't actually sound... Okay, so before we continue with this hypothetical, it sounds like to me there's something else in your belief system. It sounds like you're pursuing interest over suffering. So it sounds a lot like to me, you might think you're acting logically, but you're just pursuing your interest over suffering. Whether that's logically in your benefit or not.
That could very well be, yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to reach people emotionally. You want to do it as normal. Not hurt anyone or be hurt. Logic. Actually, I'd say, honestly, you're pursuing your interest over suffering, over everything. Including hurting someone or being hurt. Whether you like that or not, I think that is something in your belief system. So,
that sounds about right. Though, logically to me, pursuing my interests over suffering is a natural thing to do, because if I pursue my interests and don't intervene in, say, people being eaten by wolves or someone torturing a dog because they think the stress hormones make the meat taste better, is simply not intervening because I find it interesting to watch what's happening and how things happen.
I mean, if the wolves came back, if the group survived and the wolves came back, and if you were the one that the wolves were trying to go after, nobody would try to save you. You're aware of that, right? If that's your response. So I mean, okay, it sounds more like to me, your perspective on society is it's not very much you want to use social contracts as much as you can. Or no, that's not a good way to say it. It's not it. It's almost, no, you don't want to use social contracts. You want to, what's a better way to, no, because that's wrong. That's completely fallacious. It comes across to me like you just you don't care about anything because you don't believe anything is worth caring for. And particularly, I think you find caring about anything more than anything else is, comes back to your belief system. Caring more about anything else is, it leads you to potentially justifying hurting something else. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right. Okay. So let's continue with this. So what if hypothetically the exact same thing happened again? The wolves attacked. Now you could run away, and there's a guarantee you can make it to society. Like you're very close, but the wolves attacked your group when you were almost back at civilization. You could run away and you'd be scot-free. You're almost 100% sure about it. Would you take that, or would you just stay and watch?
Depends on what the result is of me watching. How many wolves are there? How far away from civilization? How sure am I they're going to be able to fight them off?
Civilizations within eyesight. You don't know. You don't think. You think if you fight with them, there's a much greater chance they won't die, but you don't think. Like, there's a great chance that there's a possibility you could die if you try and fight with them, but if you run away, there's a. Wait. What would it take to make you fight with them?
What would it take for me to fight with them?
Yeah.
If the other option was complete annihilation.
Okay, so what would it take to... so you would fight with them if your ass was on the line, basically?
Yes.
Okay. So... if your ass was not on the line, you were being attacked.
If my ass was not on the line, I would observe and make sure that I am far enough away not to be involved.
Be far away not to be involved. I mean, like, so would you run back to society, or would you just go far enough away that you could observe what's going on?
Far enough away to observe.
Why do you wish to observe?
Because I found it fascinating.
I'm actually curious, do you enjoy it at all? Would you enjoy it at all, watching something die?
I don't enjoy it. I don't feel regret. I just find it fascinating. It fascinates me to see how something heart stops beating.
I mean, like, I can watch baby chicks being blended up. Like, I'm vegan, I don't need that shit, but I can enjoy watching it. I think we're opposite ends of a spectrum. See, I think you're at apathetic. You don't enjoy it, you don't hate it. I can enjoy it, but I can also care. Which is, I can enjoy watching something suffer, but at the same time I can also care. So I think we're different. We're different psychotic. We're a different part of psychotic spectrums.
I would say we're the part of the same psychiatric spectrum, but we are the opposite end of that spectrum.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. By the way, I appreciate you coming in here and having a good faith conversation.
No worries.
Okay, so last but not least, this is where we come full circle with it. Okay, so what if, somebody attacked your so let's say actually, wait, do you have any friends or like anybody at all or family or anything like you care? Like,
no one I care for. There's only one person in this world I care for, which is my baby girl. The only person I will do anything for is her. She's the only person I'll fight for, and she's the only person who has penetrated into my inner mental sanctum, if you want to call it that. And therefore, she is worth more to me than anything. So,
your child, right?
No, my girl.
Oh, okay. You have a girlfriend. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is against my beliefs of non-intervention. But because she is special to me, I'm willing to go to any length to protect her and make sure she's safe.
Okay. So let me get... My goodness, you are quite the case, I have to admit, to talk to. Well, not saying that's a good or bad thing, just saying it's quite the interesting case. We're definitely on the opposite ends of the psychotic spectrum. Like, for me, I love and hate watching chicks being slaughtered. I love and hate watching slaughter. It's such a rush in both directions. I feel confused at the same time. Okay, so in particularly, when it comes to the apathy pill, actually, wait, no, I think, is that last one worth running? Honestly, no, because there's only one person you would defend. Okay, so in particularly, I'm just sort of testing basically, I use this in one sense, I use it as a consistency test to see how you'd behave in possible real world situations Another reason I do this is to help people reflect upon their belief system. Third reason, you don't necessarily need, so all these decisions that you could make hypothetically, you don't necessarily need empathy to value fairness or a sense of justice, or even to have disgust for certain behaviors. Number 4, the individual's well-being is tied to the collective in some situations. If the consequences of a decision that you might find towards your own desires is just as bad as the decision that benefits the collective. Basically, if the selfish decision is worse than doing the decision that's better for the collective, or if you may as well just do the collective decision in the first place. But what was this? Number 5 was to make someone realize what they're capable of worst case scenario. But I think you're completely fucking aware. So that puts you on a completely different playing field for me to have a discussion with, debate, and to try and persuade otherwise.
Which it's also why I told you beforehand, like, my psychiatrist has been trying to, let's say, persuade me for the last 5 years and still hasn't succeeded, so that's why I wished you luck.
I mean, I think a lot of psychiatrists out there are blowing smoke with all...
I've gone through about 12 at this point, and they all gave up. So,
I mean, honestly, I think I don't give up, in particularly. Actually, I think at a certain point, I kind of let things go a little bit. Who am I kidding? You can only beat a dead horse so much, but you gotta try your best. So, in particular, when it comes down to this, it sounds like the only value system you have, the only thing you value, is your girl.
Yes.
Okay, so in particular, how do I say this? The emotion of pleasure, the pleasurable. So when it comes to morality, even if it's completely subjective to the universe, are you a moral nihilist as well? Are you? Are you a moral nihilist or realist?
What would that entail exactly?
I think you're a nihilist. So a nihilist is somebody who believes morality is subjective. It believes that truth
I believe morality is redundant.
So yeah, it sounds more like to me you're a moral nihilist. I'm not the best at defining these terms. I should probably have a definition on hand when I bring these terms up. Do you want me to define it? I can define it if you want.
No.
Okay, so
you're good.
So in particular, when it comes down to the situation, the way I do things is, if you value this, you ought to do that. If you value this, you ought to do this. So even if morality is completely subject to the universe, you acknowledge that the decisions that somebody morally makes in the moment can be objective to themselves of what they will and will not regret. So there is an objectiveness to the individual of what they do and do not regret when it comes to moral decisions. Do you acknowledge that?
Sorry, I was not following that. Can you repeat the last sentence?
Decisions morally can be objective to an individual of what they will and will not regret. Not to the universe, to an individual.
I guess so. I don't regret any decisions.
Okay. By the way, actually, I forgot to say this about the apathy pill. So as who you are right now, if any of those decisions you made, if by any chance you emotionally reconnected with people, I'm actually curious, how would you feel about all the decisions that you've had and everything you've said?
I don't know.
So you don't think you'd feel guilt at all?
No, I don't think so.
Even if you emotionally reconnected?
That's the problem. I wouldn't know how that felt.
You couldn't even fathom it. I mean, hearing the screams of people dying. I mean, like, to me, it's putting a smile on my face. The terror, the excitement, the fear.
Interesting. That's it.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's fascinating.
Pardon me?
It's just fascinating and interesting, and that's it.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me happy, doesn't make me sad, emotionally connect with them. I wouldn't know how that felt. I can't fathom how that feels or how that would be.
You can't fathom how that would feel and how that would be, yeah. To me, that is an amazing answer. It's actually original. It's far more challenging than what I generally have to deal with. Because you are forcing me to try and cognitively think a lot more. Basically, one of the points of this is what I'm saying is, at any point you could reconnect to anything around you. So it's one of the benefits to having any virtue ethic or to have any virtue that actually, or anything to believe in. Like at one point of history, we believed in gods and deities that I think I personally believe are false. Are you religious?
I think people would call me an atheist.
Yeah, so I'm saying you don't necessarily need to have a god in order to believe in something. That can give you clarity. So whether it be justice, fairness, and
what I believe in science, I believe in logic. Once I'm dead, it's lights out, everything goes to black, nothing matters.
Yeah, but I actually but this is something that I'm saying is that a benefit to having virtue ethics is regardless of how your mental state changes, you can actually live a consistent life that you believe in. And it's one of the advantages to having it.
No, fair enough.
Logically to the individual. So I don't know. Like I'm hoping I'm a good salesman tonight. Yeah, I'm tired as hell.
Well, you got the toughest customer possible, so
I don't know. I like to think I'm the best salesman of this job.
Yeah.
I don't think you're buying, but I'm gonna keep trying.
I'm not buying. No, I appreciate the efforts, but I know who I am. I know what I believe in, and I'm not going to change that anytime soon.
Well, I'm not going to give up anytime soon.
The simple fact is that I'm aware of this. I'm a special case. There's not a lot of people out there like me, and because of that, I had to find my own way. If I were to follow any sort of belief, any sort of religion, it would mean that I had to go along with said religion. And part of my philosophy is that I follow what is normality to general humanity. Therefore, since most people on the globe are not religious, I'm not religious. If most of the people on the world were to believe in Buddhism, I would have forced myself to believe in Buddhism, but that's simply not the case.
Yeah, so once Drunken Scout, I'm not arguing to believe in religion. You do understand that, right?
Yeah.
Could you steel man my position? Do you understand what a steel man is?
I do not know.
So, like, what I did here with your belief system, so a straw man is trying to misrepresent something. So a steel man is trying to, like, rephrase what someone else believes in. That's just as good, if not better. So I'm trying to improve what your belief system is, and then I'm trying to build up as strong as it can be. And then I'm trying to find if I can push it down. So can you try and steel man my position?
I wouldn't know how to.
Okay, so do you understand what I was saying about virtue ethics? What did I say?
Yeah.
What was it? What was my point? What was my position?
You're trying to prove something about my stance.
That's goal, but that's not my position. So I'll restate my position. My position is that at any point in your life you could actually end up feeling empathy again towards anything, animals, people. So for example, I can turn on and off my empathy like that. But for me, turning it off, it has limits to how much I can do it. So what I'm trying to say here is having something to believe in other than a god. So having virtue ethics to believe in, things such as justice or fairness, it can allow you to live your life in a manner where you'll be fulfilled, and you can actually be I'm actually miswording myself because it's late at night. Can you give me a sec to gather my thoughts, please?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry about this. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
What I'm
That's
trying
what they're editing for, so.
what I'm trying to say is that at any moment in your life you could reconnect emotionally to either people or animals. My argument is that either empathy, justice, or fairness, or disgust, either belief systems or intuitions can play a vital role in us being able to logically live our lives. So my premises, one of which is the individual is tied to the collective. One of my premises is that one of my reasons is what was it? You don't necessarily need to have compassion, or you don't necessarily need to be emotional to value something like fairness or justice. And wait.
But I don't value justice.
Yeah, I know. And another thing is, another premise is that you could reconnect emotionally to. Actually, wait, am I? No, I'm not questioning. What are your so you can reconnect to humans at any point, or animals? You can reconnect. No, actually, you mind if I just draw right? Okay, so, oh god, what I'm trying to say here is, at any moment you could reconnect emotionally to what is around you. Your well-being as an individual is tied to the collective, and having something to believe in, such as a virtue ethic like fairness or justice, or a belief system similar to religion, but I don't advocate for religion, can allow you to live your life whether you have a lot of empathy or very little empathy. It can allow you to live your life in a manner which you will not regret, regardless if you can connect or disconnect. Or if you, or even if connecting is one day outside of your realm of will, deterministically. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so I'm so sorry this was so painful for me to. It's like no 2 a.m. 2:15. So, okay. Do you have any counter arguments for that, or just I don't really care? I'm assuming you don't care, right? Obviously. I'm not expecting
I don't have any counter argument. I've been trying to think of it. It sounds logical what you're saying, but I don't understand how that would work.
I can explain it.
No, like understand.
No, I can explain. So, like when I was younger, I wanted to kill and eat people. Have a nice human barbecue. But I didn't, and at the time, even though I did care about people, yes, but not that much. Like, realistically, I think emotionally, I wanted to kill them far more. Way more. Way more. And the thing is it's kind of like, it's kind of, what stopped me from doing it, and looking back, it wasn't just empathy. It was far more than that. I didn't believe it was justified. I didn't believe it was just or fair. I didn't believe it was something that I actually... it was something that I found... how do I say? Justice isn't just a logical word. It in and of itself, it's referring to a mixture of emotions, which can be a part of empathy or can actually neglect it in and of itself. You don't necessarily need to be very empathetic to believe that something is just or fair. But at the same time, it's interconnected. So that belief I had prevented me from making a decision that I would have regretted for the rest of my life. And in the heat of the moment, you think to yourself you would make these decisions that you wouldn't regret. But in the heat of the moment, under that rage, the only thing that was stopping me was that. So, and I was able to live a life that logically has allowed me to live my life better. So it's kind of like my point is, like, emotions in and of itself. Like, for example, let's say, like, being emotional is a paradox when it comes to living your life logically, and being logical is a paradox when it comes to living your life logically. It doesn't matter how logical you are, because we're emotional animals. It doesn't matter how emotional you are, because we are logical animals. So it's more complex than that. And that's sort of my issue with your belief system.
All my beliefs, I don't value justice, I don't value humanity, I don't value thought, I value my interest. And because I don't see the difference between good and evil, like as it started off the conversation, I follow what general humanity thinks as normal. So murder is abnormal for humanity, thus I don't do it. Though I'm not objected to it. If it were normal, I'd go along. Same with cannibalism, murder, purging, religion, doesn't matter. If the rules of view of justice was different, I would answer questions differently. I know how to answer certain questions and appear, say, normal, because I know how a general person would react to a question. That said, if someone were to ask what I thought, what my opinions were, they would be vastly different from what I say they were.
What do you mean? Like,
well,
your opinions would be vastly different.
Okay, what I'm saying is right now in the conversation here, I'm being truthful and honest about what I would do, what I would think. Doesn't mean that that is what I do.
In the real world. I get it.
In the real world, I follow what humanity wants me to do. Because, end of the day, my end goal is to have the least impact. And by having the least impact, I need to be as normal as possible. Because being as normal as I can leaves me the least opportunity to screw up. You know what I mean?
I feel ya. It's definitely a different take, that's for sure. I mean, like, honestly, I'm not too sure how to deal with this one, because I think, honestly, I'm probably going to listen back to this conversation, then maybe have another conversation in the future, because this conversation in of itself is very, how do I say, nuanced and very new. I'm actually curious, have you ever seen the anime King Ganasha, just as an example? Any belief system that you sort of live yourself, to some extent you influence other people no matter how you wish to. Like, for example, how cold you are, even if you pretend to agree with people. Most people's intuitions can tell you are like this. So I'm actually curious, would you want your own girlfriend to be the way you are? Would you want anyone you love or care about to experience what you're experiencing?
No, I wouldn't wish that upon anyone.
So why would you wish it upon yourself?
I don't wish it upon myself, but it's the least...
I disagree. I think you're being dishonest there. Go on.
The thing is, I don't wish it upon myself, but because I lack certain things for humanity, say emotion, empathy, I lack those. I lack empathy, apathy, and emotion. For what reason, I do not know, but they are lacking in my life. Therefore, since I don't have a moral compass, the most logical way for me to live is to try be as normal as I can. Because if I were to do whatever I wanted and not live my life following the moral compass that I follow, which is humanity, I would probably be classed criminally insane and spend the rest of my life behind bars. I would do anything I find interesting. Say, grab a rifle and go on a shooting in downtown or in a shopping mall, because I simply find interesting to see what would happen. I'm just curious.
I mean, like, yeah, I think I've had those ideas, but I don't think I've ever had them like how you do. That's for sure. Yikes. So part of this is actually more. You're trying to limit your interest of suffering. You're not pursuing, you're limiting your interest of suffering.
Yes, by not involving myself in it and simply observing.
So you're just limiting your interest of suffering. Okay. Like what? Okay, so that's actually pretty interesting, huh? So I mean, like, yeah, but in and of itself, I'm just saying the fact that you don't really want to try and reach out. Sorry, the fact that you don't want to necessarily try to reconnect with the world. That's what I mean. I think you do wish for how you live your life. Like, in and of itself, you already told me that you do have a philosophy based around not connecting to people. So by saying that you do not wish this upon yourself, I think in and of itself is kind of it's a paradox or an oxymoron or hypocrisy. I don't understand how it can be consistent. I mean, like, it's kind of strange. Unless you value yourself, do you value yourself less than everyone else?
No, the reason is I don't value anyone in any degree, but I do realize that my way of living it may be by choice, it may not be by choice. I'm not sure which one it is. I don't know myself. I think it is by choice with limitation that I live my life like this. And I do know that it is a massive pain a lot of times. So because it's a massive pain and I don't want to harm anyone psychologically, I wouldn't wish this upon them. Though I do believe that if everyone were to live like this, there would be a lot less, say, hate crime. There would be a lot less racism. There wouldn't be as much shootings, because if everyone just simply observed and no one took action, there wouldn't be any crime to go around. Which would be boring, I would say that, but...
Actually, I disagree. Because hate and all these emotions are deterministic. Not everyone will have... Your philosophy and way of life requires, and your mentality requires a very specific, not only personality, but then also upbringing and environment. So what I'm trying to say here is, saying if everyone wants to behave that way is, it's far out of the realm of reality. Like, when people come to terms with hate, like if somebody raped and killed, like, I hate to say this, but if somebody raped and killed your girl, you'd hate the fuck out of them. Like, if, and rightfully so, right? Like I would if I had a girlfriend and if somebody raped and killed her, I'd probably go. I'm
saying it. She is the only thing that has actually any meaningful value to me. So,
like, yeah, I'm not.
I would throw my beliefs and reasoning out the window, and I would do anything to.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, we all have something we care about. So I honestly, I don't. Your world that you're looking at, I think would actually make hate worse, because people that would have hate, no one would necessarily step up to try and either counter that hate or to try and disprove it, or to try and show logical inconsistencies or errors with that hate. So I don't think actually what you're saying would if you had a world of observers, what you would just have is a bunch of people going along with a loud, hateful crowd. So because it's essentially what you'd have observers, and you'd have people that are being overly emotionally people that had emotional override. So even if we painted a world where everyone's like you, I still think it wouldn't actually paint out that way.
Oh, fair enough.
With conflicts and with modern politics, with modern culture, and with culture clashes, yada yada, blah blah blah. But
oh yeah.
I don't, like, honestly, keep in mind, when I'm trying to reduce it to absurdity, I'm trying to also make you reconsider some of your positions on something. So once again, like, how do you not wish this upon yourself? Because I'm not sure if I fully understand that. And to be honest, I'm not sure if you're being fully honest with yourself here, or I'm not sure if maybe I'm not understanding. But how do you not wish this upon yourself? Because you've said you do not wish to try and reconnect with anything else around you. Are you afraid of what you might do if you reconnect to something else around you, or like?
Yes, because it's an unknown. I wouldn't know what I would do or what would happen, and therefore I don't necessarily relish the idea, because I don't like unknowns, which is also why I very much like observing and following interests, because if I observe something, if I see something, and it fascinates me, it's more knowledge, and it's no longer a unknown. But emotional connections to me are a very big unknown, and because they are unknown, I want to observe them, but not necessarily take part in them until I understand them enough.
So okay, so you do fear. So you do fear the unknown under certain circumstances. So in this particular situation, I actually do wonder if deep down inside you do fear the unknown more than you're telling me, or if you don't. You know, going off good faith, I think you might fear the unknown a little bit more deep down. But when it comes down to it, I think you're being honest. So you fear the unknown in this, like how you react to reconnecting with the world. I mean, I don't know. I could tell you what it was like for me. Maybe that might help. I don't know. Drunken Scout, you want to hear it?
I doubt it, but go ahead. I'm open for any option.
Okay, so before I met Nick Lyston, I was not only a nihilist, but also... Have you ever seen, like, Obito from Naruto by any chance, or no?
No, I've not.
Okay, so I sort of wanted to destroy the world. I believe that this world was unjustified. I believe that there was too much suffering. I believed that this world was not worth saving, that everyone was worth murdering, and we should essentially kill everything and end all suffering that way. That was my mindset. I was, but particularly what made me change my mind on that was, if life was such suffering to the point where everything should be killed, then why doesn't everything want to die? And why do things want to fight so hard to live? And then I thought, well, determinism, sure, but in particular, talking to Nick kind of helped change my views around somewhat. But particularly when I reconnected with the world and with people around me, there wasn't... How do I say this? At first it was scary, but over time it was... it just felt better. It just felt like I was more whole. It just felt... I don't know, what's a good word? There's no real word to describe it. It almost felt like my brain was... I felt a lot less anxious, too. It also felt like... way less anxious. I also felt like... I was more at peace with suffering this world has. And I accepted it for what it was. Particularly with me, so like, cause I was disgusted by suffering. Now, you're not disgusted by anything. So I'm not particularly too sure how you would feel if you reconnected. But honestly...
No, because the problem is I am by nature, which I realize, a sociopath with tendencies towards anarchy. And that said, the way I behave and the way I think and the way I handle things is either a philosophy, or you could also call it a coping mechanism. Which one of those it is, I'm not necessarily sure. And because I'm not sure of whether it's just a philosophy or a coping mechanism for me to be able to live in regular society without being an outcast, or more of an outcast, I wouldn't know how to handle going back into society, because going back into society would mean throwing aside what is either a philosophy or is my coping mechanism. And if it's a philosophy, I could do it. But if it's a coping mechanism and I would throw that aside, I would maybe be okay for a little while, but maybe after some time I'd slide back into my natural tendencies, which would be, let's say, less than ideal. And because of that unknown, because I don't know what my own philosophy / coping mechanism is to me, I don't want to let go of it, because if I let go of it, there's more unknowns, because I don't know which way things are going to go from there.
So yeah, and particularly now that I kind of get your stance a little bit more, this does make the conversation a little bit more clear. It definitely isn't black and white. That's for sure. It's definitely not black and white. So I'm actually curious, why do you not want to hurt anyone? Because you said you don't, like, under your reasons, you want to do what's normal, you don't want to hurt anyone, you want to live your life logically, and you want to limit your interest of suffering.
The reason why I won't hurt anyone is simply because I put a boundary up for myself. I have absolutely no problem hurting people, ending their life, or torturing them. If anything, I find it more than interesting. I find it fascinating. But the problem with that is because I realize that is something that is highly illegal. I limit myself and say, I'm not going to hurt anyone, because if I hurt someone, I might get, if you want to call it, a taste and not be able to limit myself any longer.
Oh, fuck. Okay, yeah, I think I understand exactly where you're coming from now. I think, honestly, I don't even think this is just a coping mechanism. It sounds like to me you're always on the edge. Like, I'll be
That could very
Oh my god, yeah, at one point I was almost always on the edge. Reconnecting, like...
Before I had a coping mechanism, if you want to call it that, and it got pretty bad. It got to the point where I broke my father's arm and shoulder and jaw and choked him almost to death, all because he wouldn't give me a piece of chocolate.
I'm actually curious. Do you want me to end this recording and have like the rest of it private, or are you sure we're having all this public out there? Are you sure?
This is the whole reason why I said I want to have it. I want to review it before it goes up because I don't know where the conversation is going to go.
Okay, you know what? You have months. Like, honestly, I'm thinking maybe these talks are better if they're kept in private. So it's completely up to you.
What I'm saying is, feel free to record it because there's always the possibility where I just say like, "Hey, can you do me a favor and cut from this timestamp to this timestamp out, or censor these and these words?"
I'm actually but do you want to stop the recording now, and we can make this more? We can talk more private stuff here.
The thing is, there's nothing against you, but I am distrusting, and it's happened to me before where
whatever, dude.
Someone said, "I'm gonna stop recording," and they did keep recording.
Okay, yeah, I'm really. I mean, okay, can I actually screen record my entire screen right now? No, fuck. You know what? Fuck me. How do I? You know what?
Yeah, like
I mean, honestly, I'm okay. Like, I want to. Like, I wish I could have some form of transparency. I don't know. Like, it'd be easier if I could talk to you in the room. Honestly, like, yeah, but do you mind if maybe I just, like, stop recording and, like, if you want to say anything, yeah, that's okay, like...
Honestly, I'm fine with anything being up there because it's not going to get traced back to me.
Sure, yeah, whatever. Okay, so, yo, Drunken Scout, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm actually curious, are you usually drunk, dude? Drunken Scout.
No, that is actually a funny name. The name originated from playing Team Fortress 2 back in the day, and I was completely blasted, and they called me Drunken Scout. Oh, you can't even walk straight, and the name stuck. That's all there is to it.
So, in particularly, when it came to... So you don't want to hurt people because of how it can affect you, am I correct?
Yes.
So, I'm actually curious, are you concerned at all if perhaps maybe morality is objective, or perhaps maybe if you were to reconnect or something, you might do something that you find morally or ethically or intellectually heinous or disgusting? Are you afraid of you being disgusted by yourself at all?
No, absolutely not. What I'm afraid of is my freedom being taken away because I don't see the difference between having fun by playing tag or having fun by cutting out someone's gut. And because I don't see that difference necessarily, I don't want to hurt anyone because if I hurt someone, there's a chance that I get a taste for how it would feel. Maybe I would feel joy, maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. And because I am uncertain of that, I avoid doing so because if I do end up enjoying it and going along with it, not knowing any boundaries, it would end up in serious jail time or even a death penalty, assuming based on where I'm at. If it were in the US, it would probably end up in the death penalty.
Damn. Okay, this is definitely getting some deep shit, that's for sure. Like, at first, I thought you didn't want to hurt anyone just because you just didn't see a point in needlessly hurting someone. Now I realize, okay, no, this isn't a matter of that. It's just like, oh, yeah, you find it interesting to hurt people. Damn, that's some dark shit, that's for sure. But particularly, mind if I actually make a few? So when it comes to reconnecting, mind if I just give you like a little bit of my personal experience, my anecdotes, if you will. Not saying they're objective fact.
Yeah, sure.
So these are anecdotal fallacies, I guess you could say. If I said that they are objective, but I'm saying that these are anecdotes, and I acknowledge they're anecdotes, and I acknowledge they're not perfect. So I'm just telling you my personal experience. So
Yeah, sure.
when you're reconnecting emotionally, if you ever choose to, what matters is the direction that you're choosing to try and connect into. For example, if you're trying, like what you actually individually try to connect to greatly influences your connections. So you trying to connect to love, to humans, to animals, empathy. So particularly what you're trying to invoke can greatly emphasize which direction you're heading into. And especially what you're empathizing with. And it's much better to try and empathize with something like a dog or like a... I'd say honestly, I'm going to be very straight with you. Don't empathize with human beings right now. Empathize with a dog or something. Like if I was in your shoes, this is what I would do. Just my experience, if I was going to re-empathize or if I ever decide to go on a way out, this is my advice. Honestly, I don't even know for sure if you would actually do terrible shit if you reconnected. Personally, actually, I doubt it, but here's what I'm trying to say right now. If you did reconnect, I'm just saying, like, reconnect with something like a dog. Reconnect with something like a cat. Or something that is less likely to be cunning and stab you in the back. Like, if you get to know me over a period of time, you'll actually realize I'm not perfect, but I do try my best to live up to my word. And I do try my best to be genuine, especially if you hang out here. You'll sort of notice that about me. But like, if you need someone to talk to, and if you don't want me to record, fine, whatever. You don't want this up on the internet, fine, whatever. Personally, part of me doesn't even want to put this up on the internet because I respect how much you've told me here tonight. And I kind of feel bad for even recording it, to be honest.
It's your call.
Huh?
It's your call. All I'm asking is...
Yeah, but I don't... I feel bad for... Like, I feel like I'm taking advantage of extreme honesty here. So, yeah.
If you don't feel comfortable uploading it, don't upload it. But if you do want to upload it, all I ask is just send me a review copy before you make it public. Because I want to make sure there's nothing that can be traced back to me and
Sure. Yeah.
Nothing majorly incriminating.
I mean, honestly, particularly with everything that you're telling me, I don't even think you're going to commit a crime anytime soon or anything. But if you were to reconnect, what matters is what you're trying to emotionally push yourself in the direction of. So it's not even a when I say reconnect or connect, like I think what do you even think of when you think of a way out of your philosophy? What do you even... It sounds like to me you think of a blank and unknown, right?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Oh, okay, so this is just my personal experience, right? From my personal experience, and keep in mind, like, I used to, if I saw like a bunch of baby chicks being slaughtered, I could not help laughing. Like, I've tried to stop laughing in the past, and I could not help but laugh. I thought it was hilarious. It was just too funny to me. God, even thinking about it makes me laugh. I feel like laughing right now, but like, dude, yeah. So it matters.
It doesn't make me laugh. It doesn't make me sad.
I know.
It just makes me interested.
Yeah, like we're opposite ends of like possibly a psychotic spectrum. Even though, like I said, I don't think either of us are. Well, I'm not diagnosed. Maybe you are, but what I'm trying to say here is
the problem is they can't diagnose me because they don't know how to diagnose me.
My fucking God. You must be a sharp cookie. Okay, so in particular,
the problem is with diagnosing me, and this is what these psychologists, psychiatrists, and all of them have said, is because of my cunning nature, I am already aware of the questions they ask me and the answers they expect. So if they interview me for any amount of time, for any sort of purpose, they're always getting the answers they expect because I already see through the questions ahead of time and I answer the questions according to how they want them answered. Meaning, if they're trying to diagnose me, one day it could be severe autism, the second it could be a recommendation for psychiatric hospital or criminal insanity, and anything in between.
Mm-hmm.
Because I simply already figure out what they want answered, and they can't diagnose me because they can't get a straight answer out of me. Well, they can get a straight answer out of me, but the straight answers change from time to time because I adapt, and I'm not stern in my beliefs when it comes to answering questions. I adapt my answers to what people want to hear, and I've tried my best to keep that from happening tonight. Though I do have to say that certain questions are probably influenced by that tendency to adapt answers. Mm-hmm. But because of that, I can give you an answer where I can convince you that I'm a humanitarian, and you ask me the next question, and I can convince you with 100% conviction that I am a member of PETA, and the next one I can convince you I'm a psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem with me, is because I don't even know what I am myself. All I know is that I would be somewhere in the spectrum of sociopathy. Yeah, that's the problem.
I won't lie, like when you're not very empathetic, it is very difficult in society because you have to tell people what they want to hear, not what you're actually feeling. I know that feeling. God, that sucks. Like, it really does, because it feels like you're sort of constantly putting on mask for mask, and it's just so tiring at times. Oh, God.
That's the problem with me, is I don't even know. I have had so many masks that I don't even know what my own face would look like if I were to take the mask off. No, hypothetically, anyway. Because I've been wearing masks for so long, I wouldn't even know what I would look like myself.
I'm actually curious. So, come on, you gotta be honest with me. You're at least a little bit scared of who you really are. Come on.
I honestly don't know what it is, how people feel scared. I don't know the feeling.
Holy shit. Wow, you're really deep in, man.
I wouldn't know what it feels like to be scared. I have no recollection of it. I don't know if I've ever been scared. I can only imagine I have been. But if I have been, I have no recollection. I have no clue.
Shit.
Because of the many, many facades I've had over the years, it's a feeling and a memory that has been numbed to nothingness. Same with empathy and morality. They're all numbed to the extent where they might as well not exist.
Yeah, I think, honestly, yeah. I'm actually curious, would you want this up at all or not at all? I'm actually curious, like, are you sure you're indifferent? You sure? I hate to ask you again. Drunken Scout?
Yeah, I'm just thinking if there's a way I couldn't be indifferent, but I don't see a way.
Okay, I guess it's okay then. I guess I shouldn't feel bad. I mean, like, I feel bad in the sense that, like, I respect how honest you've been with me tonight, and I wish I think, like, I'm reciprocating with honesty, but I feel I'm very I'm humbled, and I appreciate how honest you've been with me tonight. Is what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's the one thing. Honestly, there's not a lot of things. I don't respect people. I don't have honor. The only thing I have left is honesty to myself. But I appreciate you interviewing me and having a genuine interest in the conversation. And the only way I can honor that is by having honesty, because it's the only thing I have left in the way of, well, respecting myself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so the problem with psychologists is their double-mindedness, because there's legalities they have to the state, so anything they tell you is dishonest, so they could be trying to trick you, so you try to trick them. So I kind of get that. So in and of itself, psychology or psychiatry, psychology or psychiatry is kind of a mess. Like Jeffrey Miller put out a video that psychiatry is a mess and evolutionary psychiatry promised to bring order to chaos, which it's somewhat helped, but it's still chaotic. Because right now we have these terms and we're still understanding some of these disorders. We're also understanding what is the evolution of these disorders, because we understand how these disorders evolved. We objectively understand what these things are way better. So I can understand why people aren't very honest to psychologists, because one, you're not going to learn a whole lot about yourself sometimes. Two, they have a double-mindedness to the state.
Well, there's also the thing where certain things cannot be discussed with a psychologist or a psychiatrist, because the simple thing is, even though they say that there is doctor-patient confidentiality,
no, there's not.
If you discuss certain things such as homicidal tendencies, they are going to report that to the authorities, and you are going to get picked up.
Yeah, and honestly,
so in a lot of cases, if you're really having trouble with something, you have either the choice of dealing with it yourself or going to a psychiatrist and getting picked up by the authorities and spending your days in jail or in a
asylum.
Asylum. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, it is kind of a shame because it has sort of created this negative incentive structure. So you're actually more incentivized to reach out to friends or random people.